Welcome guys to a brand new video. Today I'm gonna be joined by two of the video's coaches. I'm joined by Little Snom, coach of the United States of Wolfies, and I'm also joined by my guy, the coach of the Waterloo Warriors. So introduce yourselves, guys.
Hi, I'm my guy. I'm the coach of the Waterloo Warriors, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm the coach of the highly controversial United States of Wolfie, and I'm pretty excited to be here too.
Okay, so let's begin the tier list making. The first team we have up are the Dunsparce. So I'm gonna let you guys discuss this, and I'll join in.
All right, I guess I'll go first. This team, I really like it. I thought it was very well put together. Like I think it just has really good synergy with each other. With like Virizion, Sneasel, and Colossal, beat up and surf stuff. Then I think the Wheezing was a good pick just to make sure that you know. I know my week one opponent has Reggie Gigas, so I think that was somewhat of a deterrent. So he couldn't draft both Reggie Gigas and Wheezing. Also, like the Moltres and the Comfy pair, weakness policy stuff. I think that's really good. I think he was able to get a lot of value out of all of his picks, and I think it's easily one of the best teams in the draft.
Yeah, I agree with that. I especially like the Wheezing pick because his team relies heavily on their own abilities. So
Mm.
Comfey's Triage, Colossal's Steam Engine, Verizion's Justified, and Miltank's Sap Sipper to some extent. So them picking up Wheezing, they don't even have to use it. As long as they have it, no one else has it, so they can't shut down all their abilities.
Right. And I know my guy really wanted Comfy because it was the key to success.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
we had lots of plans, but no one expected it to go round two, I think. So that was a bit upsetting.
Yeah, I
It,
agree with you
it
guys.
happens.
Uh, the Virizion plus Colossus plus Sneasel. This essentially these three cores are really good. Beat up. That essential core is really strong, especially in this format. So I'm gonna be putting them in not in the crazy good tier, but I'm gonna put them in the elite tier right there.
Yeah. Should we explain the tiers? I feel like that's something that we should do
Yeah,
because okay, so
you can go
we
ahead and do
have
that.
all right, we have five very creative tier names. One, actually, let me pull it up. What's the first tier list? Okay, so it's oop, like the F tier is like in a oop. It's, this second to last tier is I like you do your thing. Like I see what you're trying to do. Third tier is period. Fourth tier is elite, and then of course the top tier is crackhead. So I think it really speaks like to the level of team. I know my guy and myself are both very happy when we chose that name.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next team are the Fishes Fishies, or the Fishes. I don't know. It's a very complicated name. So go ahead, guys.
Fish.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I think we should just take a second to appreciate the logo. I'm pretty sure that's one of the paint logos, which are always fun to look at. So I really like that. And as far as their team, I took some brief notes about it. I said like it's a really good synergy and such good offensive and both defensive capabilities. Um, Let me pull up their team real quick. Yeah, like they have a hail mode, and like using their I think Draco. Do they have a beat up user? Yeah, with Draco and Cavalion, I think they could do beat up stuff. Hail Core with Sandslash and Vulpix. Naganadel, which I think is pretty underrated. I really want to use it on the ladder sometime, and it's just hits so hard. Cinderace, I think it's much better in draft than it is in current VGC because of like its variability and flexibility. Alcremie with decorate stuff, and especially since it goes through protect. If you didn't know, it's kind of a broken move. And then Tangle Up for redirection, Claydol as a Trick'em setter, and then Turtonator. Personally, I don't really like Turtonator. It's somewhat controversial, but I mean, I think it can work for them. They clearly have a plan when they drafted it. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I really liked the Gmax Blastoise pick. It's especially with Tangle's redirection. If it gets up a Shell Smash, it can sweep through entire teams.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
a good part about it having its attack and special attack are both very similar.
Mm-hmm.
You viably run both physical Blastoise and special Blastoise, which can catch a lot of opponents off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think if this team had
think
Comfy,
Vulpix-
then that Blastoise would be able to dish out massive amount of damage, especially with Tri-Edge plus Giga Drain, activate that weakness policy, and deal massive amount of damage. I think that's like the only part that is really missing. But other than that, this team is actually really good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put this in the crackhead tier, just because it's really good.
I would agree.
Good. Strong draft.
Something I found very interesting. I found it very interesting. He went for a Alolan Vulpix when Vanillite was in the same tier. Not sure what the plan is there, but
I don't
sure
think
he has one.
I don't think Vanillite gets Snow Warning though, does it?
No, it doesn't. Vanilla doesn't get Snow Warning.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, never mind then.
Yeah. I'm sure he also can do some hypnosis shenanigans if he chooses to wants his make his opponent rage quit. I'm sure he could try and if he has a gravity user use Gravnosis, which would be very frustrating to go up against.
I'm pretty sure Freeze Dry is an egg move, meaning Alolan Vulpix can't actually hit water types, which is something his team is sort of lacking so far.
Yeah.
Grass Tangela.
Yeah. We saw Blastoise, both Dynamax and Gmax picking the actual WB had a ton of success. So I'm excited to see what this team can do.
All right, so let's move on to the next team. The next team is the Boston Red Claws. What are your guys' opinions on this team?
Personally, I think this team is somewhat top heavy. I mean, it's kind of difficult to not have a top heavy team in a 24-person draft. I think that some of their picks are really good. It's my first round opponent, and I'm quite scared to face them. I think Regieleki on its own Regieleki is terrifying with Transistor, and also just its speed control options with Electro Web. I think Togekiss also in draft is much better. And Mamoswine, it's in practice, it's given me quite the amount of problems. So I think his top picks are good. However, his bottom picks, let's see, Vaporeon, Combuskin, don't really see what Combuskin does, and then Absol, it kind of needs beat up, or else it just kind of dies. So I think maybe some trades would be good. But yeah, I don't know if you agree, my guy, or Ted.
Yeah, I agree. I think Regigigas, it was a questionable pick until he picked up that Galvantula. because
Right.
Galvantula gets the move Gastro Acid, so that can remove Regigigas' ability. And I thought that was a really smart way to circumvent having to spend points for Wheezing and
Yeah.
avoiding it getting picked.
Yeah.
Gourgeist and Azelf are both great Trick Room setters. Gourgeist being able to change size
Right.
and what changes its stats, that makes it a very flexible Pokemon, and it just you never know what to expect from it.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. About the Combuskin, since it gets Speed Boost, I don't know if it gets Baton Pass, but if it does get Baton Pass, I'm pretty sure you can utilize that. Baton Pass, that's that speed onto another Mon that could actually utilize that speed.
Oh,
So
true.
I could see him actually using that some point around the season, and do,
It
doing
does
that.
get Baton
So
Pass.
um, yeah.
Yeah. I think it definitely has some viability. I know I think that Worry Gorgeist and Gasteracid Galvantula are also something like you said, my guy. I think it's something to be quite scared of, as Galvantula is quite fast, and if you run like a certain size Gorgeist, I think it hits almost base like 99 speed or something. So I think being able to remove slow start so fast and then just Dynamax and go to town, I think is very scary to say the least.
Okay, so from the majority, I think I'm gonna put this team in. Period.
Yeah, that's what I said.
All right. So moving on, the next team are the Breaking Zolts.
Okay, breaking thoughts. Also, oh, another. Wait, is this another Microsoft Paint logo?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Looks like it.
Yeah. Okay. My guy, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Sure. So, Faramosa was the round one pick, if I recall correctly, and I think that was a great choice, just based on what they have.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, Dragalge. Dragalge is a mon that hits very, very hard, especially if it gets a weakness policy off, which Bronzor can do, so that's good to there. However, if you don't get Trick Room up, it's pretty difficult to use because of how slow it is. It's
Yeah,
base
definitely.
44, which is not great. However, Pheromosa gets Speed Swap, so it can make Dragalge incredibly fast, or even something like Hatterini or Dreadnought, which makes them a lot more threatening outside of Trick Room. And if he does want to bring Trick Room, then he can just use Bronzor.
Yeah. I think Faramosa, I think its speed is its offense is too great, but it's both attack stat and special attack stat are 137, I think. And its coverage is phenomenal, but I think the main selling point is its speed swap shenanigans that you can do. I think also like Hatterini or Hatterine, or I don't really know how to pronounce it, but anyway, I think having one of the slowest mons in the format and then one of the fastest is quite nice because you kind of fill out your speed tiers really well.
Yeah. I feel like.
Yeah, and picking up Togetic was pretty big
Yeah,
because this team, Trick Room teams, often like redirection,
definitely.
and Togetic with Eviolite is very, very bulky.
Oh my god, yeah, it's so difficult to get rid of.
But the one thing about this team I'm extremely worried about is this team is gonna heavily rely on Trick Room, and some teams have ways to counter Trick Room and actually reverse Trick Room or utilize their opponent's own Trick Room. So that's the only worry I have about this team. But other than that, this team was actually really good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm actually
I
tied for this team. I'm actually tied between Elite and Period. So I actually want to hear you guys' opinions on
I
which tier should it go in.
I'd place this one pretty high. Place it in elite.
Yeah, I think I'd go the same. I was looking at their G Max pick in Dreadnought, and I was like, "Where's the Rain Setter?" But I think Meowstic gets Prankster Rain
Uh,
Dance. So,
Okay. Yeah,
um,
I
yeah.
agree as well. So next we have the commissioner of the VDL Womble and his team, the Northampton Celestelas. So what do you guys think about his team?
Um, I hot take. I know in Gert's video, Goomy really didn't like this team. I actually think it's quite. I think it's quite threatening. It's I know Womble style is very stally, and that's exactly what he's done. Uxie as a trick room setter, but also as just like it's almost impossible to kill. Like its defenses are insane. Aromatisse, another very bulky trick room setter. And then his bottom tier picks are a bit questionable, like Lickitung and Skuntank. I mean, I guess he has a normal type, a bulky normal, and a dark type. Um, but I think it's top tier. His top picks are a lot better. I think Glastrier or Glastrier, however you want to pronounce it, is easily one of the best mons in the format. And then and especially utilized under Trick Room. And then I think he could do soak stuff with Inteleon as it's incredibly fast. And then Corviknight also provides a bulky tailwind setter. And then Landorus as not so much in VGC, but we've seen in like singles, it's such a monster with sheer force and life orb and the wide coverage that it gets. I think his team is one to watch out for.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One thing I am a bit concerned about is he relies a lot on Trick Room. His
Yeah.
only real fast offensive mon is Inteleon,
Right.
who, don't get me wrong, is very strong, but it dies very easily. It's very frail.
Yeah. That's
and
I think he should probably take note of.
However, I don't think that's too much of an issue considering he has both Uxie and Aromatisse, who Aromatisse can't be taunted, and Uxie, as you said, is just insanely bulky. Very difficult to take down in one turn. So he has a lot of options. Lickitung, it gives him an answer to weather. I personally think that's not too necessary.
Yeah,
but
I would agree.
It's definitely one of the better tier 4s. There aren't too many great options there.
Yeah, you really had to dig to try and find some good tier 4s.
Very curious. I'm not sure what Grapple Locked does.
Yeah, neither am I. It gets Technician, which in theory is good, but I think like it should be a good Pokemon because like its stats are pretty good, but like it just kind of fails to succeed. I think also its coverage. I don't think it has the best coverage, but maybe Wombo will make it work.
Yeah, in Gert's video, I kind of a little slightly bashed his team. Is decently bulky, like you said, Snom. His playstyle is essentially like stall bulky-ish kind of way, but it's a really good team. I would say that, but in my top 10 teams, it wasn't really good enough to make actually my top 10. So I'm going to put his team in period, just because it's really bulky, it's really good, but I would say he could make some improvements to the team itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something like a faster, like hard hitter, like maybe a Darmanitan Galar. I know it's probably not going to fit on his team, but something like that like just a fast offensive piece that doesn't really need to Dynamax could be a good option for him.
All right. So next up is my team, the Rochester Skolnivo Canyons, and I'm excited to hear what you guys said about my team.
Okay, I'm pulling it up right now. Oh, I actually really like your team. I think it's Cresselia is. I know I used it in the most recent tournament. It's almost unkillable. Like not Dusclops unkillable, but like very close to being Dusclops unkillable. Noivern, we saw in the WBE had a lot of success as a fast tailwind setter, but also gets very good coverage. Tangrowth redirection. You could do some Clawitzer and Colossal stuff with Aqua Jet, weakness policy steam engine. I think Scissor could be really good. Priority bullet punch and swords dance and like technician boosted dual wing beat. It just got, so I think that could be really good. And Gengar, I really like Gengar. I used it in another draft league. I think the option to trap is really good. So yeah, I really like your team, Ted.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. Gengar it's an interesting Gigantamax. You don't often see it in VGC because there tend to be better Pokemon to Dynamax. But in draft, it's really interesting because it's got a lot of good moves, great stats. You can run Nasty Plot. You're usually going to run Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, Sludge Bomb, and I believe it gets a grass move, but don't. I believe it gets Energy Ball, but don't quote me on that.
And
I think it
Thunder Ball
does.
as well.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah, it's got a lot of great options. Cresselia, like Snom said, it's just a phenomenal Trick Room setter. It's not easily killable, and even if you do manage to KO it, you're gonna have to double up on it, meaning the rest, your Pokemon are completely open to take an attack from maybe Noivern. Something I wish you would have had is somehow had terrain control. Maybe you could
Yeah.
have tried picking up Thwacky earlier, especially with that Clawitzer, because terrain pulse off of Clawitzer with Mega Launcher, it's hits very very hard. Which
Yeah.
it's something you could have done. But other than that, this is one of the better drafts in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's really good. Maybe Ted, you should pick up Grookey and maybe get terrain support that way.
Yeah, you know how much of a fan you are of
in the
Grookey.
last draft didn't go so well. So I'm actually gonna put myself in elite. I actually was tied between period and elite, but after going over and saying, this is one of my better drafts, I actually put myself in elite.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too.
All right. So next are the rebellions.
All right. Mike, do you want to take the lead on this one, or do you want me to start it off?
Sure, I can start.
All right.
So, something right off the bat that I noticed was Lucian. I think that's how you say it. Sorry if I mispronounced that. He immediately drafted Dragonite and Gudra, which it was really interesting to me since those two they're great Pokemon. They have amazing stats, move pools, but they're both Dragon types, which and there's a lot of amazing Fairy types. And so it just really it was interesting that he went with those two. But then he took some good fairy resists. G-Vax Centiscorch is surprisingly good. I've tried it out before, and it hits pretty hard. It gets access to Coil, so it can set itself up that way. F-Key is a great support Pokemon. It can set screens, which is really useful when you have something which is as frail as Urshifu, who does not appreciate special hits, so having light screen there to back it up really helps that. Golisopod, you don't often see it because of its awful ability, but draft, it's pretty good. It hits really hard, and first impression is just, it's such a good move. It's 90, I think, and it's plus 3 priority. So it goes before Follow Me, it goes before certain fake out users. It's a really useful move to have. Not sure what Kling Klang or Flareon are doing, but Flareon hits pretty hard with Guts, so I guess that's an option. And Fletchling as a Tailwind Pokemon, it's surprisingly good at that, and only that. But
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's got somewhat of a crippling fairy weakness. Like, hits 3 Mons, fairy hits Dragonite, Gudra, and Urshifu, all of his top tier picks for super effective. I think Klefki can offer really good screen support. However, I think like he also has quite a big rock weakness with both Golisopod, Fletchling, Centiskorch, Ninjask, Flareon, and Dragonite. Like, he has somewhat of a crippling rock weakness as well. And the Porygon, it's a great Trick Room setter, but I don't really see how it's going to come into play. Maybe he has some plans for it, but I don't really know how he's going to support the rest of the team with Porygon.
I agree. Trick Room mode seems pretty lackluster. Centiskorch is decently slow, and same with Golisopod. But both of those, they're not really enough, in my opinion, to justify spending all those points on Porygon 2. So, yeah, that's something I didn't really understand. Also, you mentioned that rock weakness. I wonder if, because of that, his opponents are going to be bringing Stealth Rock a lot. I know
true.
Centiskorch being 4 times weak to it, and I know in other drafts, whenever Charizard is there, that's a common option, because having your HP halved in a Dynamax format, it's very, very crippling in a lot of matchups.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. So, which tier you guys think this should go in?
I would say the I tier, the second to last tier, personally.
Okay, my guy, what do you get?
I agree. I agree. It's got some good Pokemon, but I don't really see too much of the synergy.
Alright, I agree. Alright, next we have the Suicunes. What do you guys think about this team?
This is a team, I think, I'm pretty sure he started off with Tyranitar, and then he built out his sand mode, from there, and with Dracozolt and Excadrill. I was personally looking at Dracozolt, but then he drafted Charizard, and I was quite confused because sand is objectively like the best counter to Sun. And I mean, I think he tried to do a dual weather option, but he doesn't have a Prankster Sunsetter or like a Vulpix or something to pair with that Charizard for solar power. He'll have to manually do it. So I think there's like some negative synergy there. I think the Raichu is a great support Pokemon. I've been using it in Series 7. It's one of the best counters to Regieleki, which is also the best counter, or one of the best counters to Charizard. So with Lightning Rod, I think it can be really good. Weavile, I don't really see what Weavile does. I mean, it's an offensive dark and ice type, but normally wants to be paired with Colossal. Decidui is it's his only ground resistance because all of his sand mons are weak to ground. So I mean, it's his ground resistant, and I think it hits pretty hard. And Whale Lord, it's a decently bulky water type that gets access to Water Spout. So I think he has some good pieces, but I think the Sun Sands negative synergy is kind of a crippling factor for his team.
Yeah, I don't really like the fact that he dropped Suicune for Raichu. Raichu is a great Pokemon. It offers Fake Out support, it offers Charm, Eerie Impulse, Nuzzle, all of those great support moves. But Suicune has Tailwind, which, in a team like this, with no Trick Room and it's mainly fast hyper offense, it really doesn't seem like something you'd want to give up. And
True.
Inner Focus means it can't be intimidated, which Suicune tends to run special, so it didn't matter. But more importantly, it also means it can't flinch. So this means that he had a Tailwind setter that can't stop with Fake Out, which is huge. And in turn, you get Raichu, who I actually don't think is a great pick on this team, mainly because it might accidentally find itself in a position where it's beside Drake's ult, and that just means Drake's ult can't use Bolt Beak, which is its strongest move. However, I do really like the fact that he picked up Tyranitar, Excadrill, and Draco's ult. Those are all a really strong Sand Core, and Draco's ult doesn't even need to run Sand Rush. It can viably run Hustle, and it hits so insanely hard in Dynamax. One pick I would have made is something to counter Trick Room. I get Weavile can taunt, and so can Tyranitar, but overall, if he doesn't manage to get a taunt off, Trick Room seems to have a really good matchup against him because most of his mons are fast and frail. So that's my
Yeah.
defense.
I
I definitely agree.
His sand core is really strong. Honestly, for me, I really love sand core, so I instantly favor this team. But when it comes to terms of ranking, I believe this team should go in the period tier. What do you guys think?
I'd say so. Either that or the second to last tier, but I think the
I
Sand
agree.
Core is what saves him. So I think we could put him in the period tier.
All right.
Yeah, it would be lower, except those mons have just insane synergy, so I think it's not enough to drop it down.
Right.
Or
All right. So
just keep it in period, I think.
So the next team we have are the London Luxrays.
All right. My guy, you mind starting leading off with that one as I pull it up?
Sure. Okay, so first thing to note is they have Gigantamax Cinderace, Rillaboom, and Incineroar, all of which are some of the best Pokemon we've seen in VGC 2020 so far. Taking Incineroar not only means he gets Intimidate support, it means one less Pokemon to intimidate his Cinderace, and that's just great in my opinion. Clefable, that it's such a good redirector. It's able to ignore stat boosts with Unaware, or it's able to even go offensive with Magic Guard and Life Orb. Rillaboom and Incineroar are a great combination. They can Psycho Fake Outs. They have Rillaboom as Grassy Glide, which is one of the best attacks we've seen. Rillaboom with Grassy Glide has dominated Series 5, and in Series 7 it's still a great option. Silvally is an interesting choice. Normally when you see it in VGC, it mainly just runs normal gem and explodes. but
Mhm.
I have seen it run different ways, and it's actually got great stats, base 95 and everything. It's not the greatest, but it's still solid. Slowking is it's a great trick room setter. It's really bulky, and with Regenerator, it sticks around for a long time. Especially when paired with Kangaskhan, this gives him 3 fake out users, which is something. Oh, sorry, 4 Toxicroak gets fake out. It's something that I think it's really good for him because you at any point in time he can just stop one of your Pokemon from attacking altogether, which is just really good, especially when you have something like Cinderace ready to run over your entire team. And not sure, Glaceon seems sort of out of the blue, but I guess as an offensive ice type, it does the job. And Altaria and Palisand is usually paired with Excelgor, but he didn't manage to get it this time. Which I'm not sure if he even wanted it, but it's a good ghost type. It's pretty strong even without the weakness policy boost. And Shore Up is it's a great recovery move. So it can stick around and just be annoying for a good while.
Yeah. I really like this team. I think maybe he could do some like stuff with Slowking, Toxicroak with like Dry Skin and Surf maybe. And I think Toxicroak is kind of a good rain counter with the Dry Skin ability. I mean, there isn't a rain team, but it's also just a good water type counter in general. Altaria, I really like Altaria. Even like without its mega, it's much less offensive. But I think it's a great support Pokemon, especially in Tier 4. It gets Tailwind and also like behind screens. And I know Moxie Boosted did a video where like he kind of just stalled people out